Assalamu alaikum all the viewers. Hope so you all would be fit and fine. In this video we shall discuss the famous American poets. The list that you see on screen, these are the famous American poets. On the top of the list there is Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman was born in 1829 and died in 1886. He was a poet, essayist and journalist. He also wrote 2 novels. He is considered one of the most influential poets in American literature. After that, there is Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson, like Walt Whitman, was also a famous poetess of English literature. She is little known during her life. She has since been regarded as one of the most important figures in American poetry. Dickinson was born in 1830 and died in 1886. Dickinson was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a prominent family with strong ties to its community. After studying at the Amherst Academy for 7 years in her youth, she briefly attended the Mount Holyoke Female Seminary before returning to her family's home in Amherst. After that, the third famous American poet was Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born in 1874 and died in 1963. Robert Frost was known for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. Frost frequently wrote about settings from rural life in New England in the early 20th century. After Robert Frost, there is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was born in 1928 and died in 2014. She was poet and civil rights activist. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and is credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. She received dozens of awards and more than 50 honorary degrees. She is famous for her biographies. After Maya Angelou, there was Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was born in 1809 and died in 1849. Edgar Allan Poe was a poet, editor, and literary critic who is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales involving mystery and the macabre. After Edgar Allan Poe, there is Henry Longfellow. Henry Longfellow, he is commonly known with this name, but the real name is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was born in 1807 and died in 1882. He was an American poet and educator. His original works include the poems Paul Revere's Ride, the Song of Hiawatha, and Evangeline. He was the first American to completely translate Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy and was one of the fireside poets from New England. His very famous poem is Children. Then there comes Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was born in 1803 and died in 1882. Ralph Waldo Emerson was an essayist, lecturer, philosopher, minister, abolitionist, and poet who led the Transcendentalist movement of the mid-20th century. He was seen as a champion of individualism and critical thinking, as well as a persistent critic of the countervailing pressures of society and conformity. Friedrich Nietzsche thought he was the most gifted of the Americans, and Walt Whitman called Emerson his master. After Ralph Waldo Emerson, there is Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound was born in 1885 and died in 1891. Like all other American poets, he was also very influential. He was poet and critic, a major figure in the early modernist poetry movement, and a collaborator in fascist Italy and the Salo Republic during World War II. His works include Riposts, published in 1912, Huck Salvin Burley, published in 1920, and his 800-page epic poem The Cantos, published during the years from 1917 to 1962. Pound's contribution to poetry began in the early 20th century with his role in developing Imagism. Imagism is a movement stressing precision and economy of language. Working in London as a foreign editor of several American literary magazines, he helped discover and shape the work of contemporaries such as H.D. Robert Frost, T.S. Eliot, Ernest Hemingway, and James Joyce. He was responsible for the 1914 serialization of Joyce, a portrait of the artist as a young man, the 1915 publication of Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and the serialization from 1918 of the Joyce's Ulysses. In our next video, we shall discuss few other American poets including Ernest Hemingway. Okay, Allah Hafiz.